What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another video / podcast of the Dynasty Dweebs. We got a special video for you guys today featuring P2W. Nick. What's up, Nick?
What's up, guys? Thanks again for having me on. Always hyped up to jump on a video with you two.
Yep, and he's affiliated with P2W Fantasy. You can find him on Twitter. And today we got so Nick's not actually in this league, Jim and I are, and I just brought Nick on. I wanted him to kind of react, get an unbiased opinion on everyone's draft picks and kind of view our team, see where he thinks we should go with our next couple picks maybe, and just go from there. A little perspective on the league. It's a 1 QB league, it's a dynasty league, and it's 2 IDPs, 3 wide receivers, 2 flexes also, and 2 running backs, and a tight end. All right, so let's just go in and start with the first round. Is there anything you guys see here that you don't really like or you wouldn't have done?
Miles Sanders at 7.
I'll agree on that one. Right?
That just seems a little too early. I mean, I'm more comfortable with Mixon, Jacobs. I'd even debate Kenyon Drake at this point.
Oh, God. I don't know if I can go that far.
I know. I'm just so low on Sanders personally, and that just kills me.
Yeah, I just did a dynasty startup not too long ago, and I drafted Sanders at the 2-7 and at 12 man, so he fell pretty far down. And I mean, could he be a stud this year? I mean, he's probably set up to be, but in the first round, before Mixon and Jacobs and even Tyreek Hill is kind of crazy to me. But hey, if somebody's a big Miles Sanders fan, power to you right there.
Yeah, I don't think the guy who has the 7 spot drafted, because he was a replacement who came in, and he definitely didn't draft Sanders himself. He just took over there. So I don't know.
Either way, someone did draft him at 1-7. Like, I guess that guy's thought was that he just likes Miles. I mean, everyone has their own guys, and he probably figured he's not going to be there in the second, obviously. But, I mean, I agree. Like, there's a lot of players I'd rather have instead. And I'm still, like, a believer that they're going to bring someone else in to the backfield just because that's how the Eagles work.
And with some news that just came out today, you never know what could happen. Talking about Raheem Mostert.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what to say about that whole situation. I don't think the guy deserves a contract because he's so old. Like, he deserves to be paid properly, but, like, what are they going to say? Like, dude, you're 28 years old. How much money do you want?
Yeah, and I mean, they got Coleman and McKinnon, and even, like, Jeff Wilson Jr. had a couple.
Yeah, they have so much leverage, I feel like, over him. Like, there's so much depth.
Yeah. I would say, like, they got to the Super Bowl last year, right? And they might have that mentality, like, we're going to do what we need to do to, like, get there again. So if they are, like, sold on Mostert, maybe they give him a good 1-year deal and say, hey, you know what, if you want to stay here past next year, we're going to give you a full season at running back, besides what he had last year, where I don't think he was a day 1 starter, for all the snaps. So if they're like, hey, we got to get back there this year, maybe they bite the bullet on a short-term deal. But if the guy's looking for a multi-year deal at, I think, 28, that's tough, man. That's tough.
So what's your opinion when you have the 1-4? So that's I'm the red. Your name's Red Zone Baller for that 4 spot. What's your opinion on having the 1-4 spot? Because usually it goes McCaffrey, Saquon, either Zeke. They flip-flop sometimes, but, like, it's usually Michael Thomas than the rest of these backs. Would you rather have Michael Thomas, or would you go Kamara Cook or someone else?
Is this a redraft again? I know you
Dynasty.
That's Dynasty format.
Oh, Dynasty. What do you think? What do you think about this, Jim? I'll go after you.
So, in my opinion, I think Michael Thomas falls in perfectly to that 4 spot because it's just there's so much volume for him in the New Orleans offense, and you can't. He's had over 100 receptions the past 3 seasons, and with Drew Brees still there, and there's no doubt he's going to be a guy getting you so many points. So from this draft, I've learned a lot with how the running backs just fly off the board so quickly. Because at the end of the third round, it's just like you're struggling for guys that you really don't even want to draft them there. And it's just, that's what I ended up kind of screwing myself up on. I feel like I should have, for example, at the 11, I took DeAndre Hopkins and then took Chubb at 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I probably should have just doubled up running back because there's so much not volume. There's so much value in wide receivers later on in the draft that can still be found later into like the 8s and 9s.
Yeah, I think at the 4 spot, you're probably going to pick one of the Saints players. I mean, they went back to back right here.
Yeah.
If Zeke fell, you're going to take Zeke, but you look at the separation from what Michael Thomas scored compared to the second guy last year, and the only question marks moving forward is like what happens after Drew Brees. But I think Michael Thomas, he's scoring you running back points for 1, and for 2, I know I agree with what you just said, Jim, because I'm a firm believer in getting like the good workhorse running backs early in drafts, just because there's so many. I mean, come like the 8th round, you're going to have good wide receivers that can start for you. But I think Michael Thomas, I don't have a problem with that pick. He's probably the only wide receiver I'd even think about. Me personally,
Top 5 at least,
in the first, let's say, the first half of that, the first round, coming towards where you were, Jim, you definitely are going to think about Tyreek Hill or Hopkins or even maybe like an Adams. But other than that, yeah, this first half, you're usually going to take the running backs, but I don't have a problem with Thomas there.
Yeah, and then after Thomas, I went Thomas, Mike Evans, and Amari Cooper all in a row. And then I didn't pick up a running back until I went Todd Gurley. I traded into the 4th round and got 3 picks. I went Todd Gurley, Montgomery, and Chris Carson all in the 4th. So I think if I was in the 1-4 spot, I would trade out of it in the future. I think. And then like maybe try to somehow get 2 second-round picks.
I don't think if you're trading back, like you're not going to get another second.
Maybe get 2 fourths though. I do like having picks in the 4th because getting players like Gurley, Montgomery, Chris Carson. I mean that's value. Like loading up in that 4 area.
It's really tough. It just puts you at a spot where the true workhorse running backs just basically all get taken within the first round and a half. And then you're picking up guys that, I mean, they still are the dominant back in their offense, but there's such a tier difference essentially. And then something that was interesting with the startup is that you have all the rookies, obviously. And I just don't know where rookies exactly should go with their ADP. Like taking someone like we had 3 running backs here at 2, 4, 5, and 8 that are rookies. And not all these guys are going to be dynamic starters from day one. I mean, it's possible CEH and Jonathan Taylor could have significant roles as a rookie, but it's not guaranteed with Damian Williams and Marlon Mack being ahead of them. Dobbins, you're probably going to have to wait a year to see his full immersion into the offense. I'm sure he's going to get plenty of reps there.
That's such a reach to me.
Yeah, that is high. That's super high. I mean, just like what you're saying, I think if you're going to take one of these guys here in the 2nd round, I'm thinking in the 3rd round, even if you think you need to grab a wide receiver, I think you need to get like a veteran running back just to cushion yourself, because if Damian Williams is still going to carry a lot, and if Marlon Mack's still going to be present, and if Ingram is going to play probably the entire year as the primary starter, you need to have somebody who's going to be your weekly guy, whether that's Gurley or a Carson or a whoever. I mean, you can go down the vets that are not as high, but if you're going to go this early, I mean, I understand it because it's a dynasty startups. So these guys have great dynasty value, but you're also kind of drafting a guy in the second round that might not give you production for a while. So it's interesting.
That's
Push
what I'm
pull.
saying. Like, regardless, dynasty or not, your goal every year is to win the league. You can't just be like, dude, I don't care about this year. I don't like, shouldn't you? You're paying money to play. Your goal should be to win the league every year. You need to have a roster that has players on it that are going to put up points, that have some proven stats, like statistics from last year that shows like what they're going to do on the team, what their role is on the team. That's why I disagree with like reaching on like Dobbins. Like, sure, you got to get your guys, but like I think you could have fallen to the third. Even Cam Akers in the third. Shit.
That's the biggest right there.
I thought what I did too in the third was kind of a big reach, considering it's a 1 QB league, and then the position just isn't as valuable if you're not playing super flex. But
Yeah.
I was trying to trade back into the fourth to kind of get Kyler and hope he didn't get taken. But my thought there was I wanted to get the stack of Kyler with DeAndre Hopkins and hope that they gel really well. I mean, it could end up turning up Schitt's Creek for me, and I completely screw myself. But the stack in Dynasty just seems so valuable when you have guys that could be with each other for years on end that are super productive. From there, what did I do? Went Cortland Sutton, which I love Cortland Sutton, but I'm still actually not convinced that was a great selection. I would have really loved to get Chark over him, but he was taken 3 picks before.
Where did you take Cortland Sutton? I can't find it.
5-4.
Okay. Nah, I think that's the right pick there. He has the best youth. I mean, I guess you could have went DJ Chark instead. Never mind.
No, see, that's what I'm saying.
Going the other way.
Yeah. He got picked 3 before.
Well, who went after him? Allen, Lockett,
Keenan,
Debo,
Lockett.
Wood. No, I like that the most. That for me personally.
And then
like
another one, I would have loved to get my hands on DK Metcalf, but I think he actually ended up going relatively early at 4-3.
Same, especially with the Antonio Brown rumors. I'm a little hesitant.
At this point, with what Antonio Brown's shown, he's not a guarantee even if he gets signed to a team.
I don't know. We hear about that like every week too, about him with somebody. You know.
He posted a picture of himself in a Patriots uniform today.
Oh my god!
Hey, I mean, tomorrow might be the Bears, and then I'll get excited or something.
Ooh.
Who knows?
All right,
Mitch
let's look at some more guys. So what's your guys' opinion on Devin Singletary at 5.5? Is that too early for you, or is that about the right price in a dynasty startup?
Well, let me count here because I'm trying to see what running back he was taken off the board.
That will cost some counting.
Oh Jesus, there's so much to count. I think there was 16
like
taken within the first 2 rounds.
That. It's like
no, it's later than that.
20-ish.
No.
Why don't you just look at who went after him to determine his value?
That's what I'd be looking at because I mean, kind of weigh it like
that's fair.
There's a fat tier drop off. You go from him to David Johnson to Mark Ingram, so there's a big drop off, I'd say.
I like it since it's a dynasty, I like it. If this was a redraft, I probably would have taken a couple. I think
Mark Ingram's better.
Mark Ingram. I think Mark Ingram in a redraft is going to go a lot.
Yeah, I think this is a really good year for Mark Ingram.
Also, James Conner. I'd take James Conner over Singletary this year for redraft. That's just me, though.
What about Mostert? If there was no issue right now, would you take him over Singletary?
Yeah, probably. I would. I'm scared of Zach Moss.
I get nervous with how many backs they have and like what's their actual plan. I don't know.
Dude, well, what do you think about them taking Mostert 6'3", like regardless of the news in a dynasty league?
I don't know. That's a 28-year-old back who might be on one more year. I mean.
Wow, I just realized he has Cohen and James White also, kind of like 2 of those big receiving.
Well, then you pick yourself, kind of like what we talked about before. If he wants to make that like stab, at least he's like, all right, Well, you got 2 pass catching backs because I'm.
And Duke Johnson, James White, dude. He has like every single back that's like the same.
I will say I really like that James White pick, though. I think he's going to have a lot of value this year.
Oh, absolutely, completely agree with that. I think he's undervalued in many drafts right now, and I think that even with Cam, who might be an improved quarterback, everybody was nervous about what Stidham's going to do, but Cam's going to be on a new team, and if he's a little uncomfortable at times, what's the easiest passing option? It's going to be James White. So I like it. I like that.
One thing that I was having some fun with in the 7th round, and I was kind of still short on running back. So I wanted to try and get the pair of Keyshawn Vaughn and Rojo.
Okay. Yeah.
So I get Keyshawn. I was at work during this, so I had made like a queue and was telling Austin to kind of pick up the guys if I couldn't be there to draft. So I had Keyshawn above him, hoping that Rojo would just slip to me at the 7 spots later. And unfortunately, he got picked at 7-7. And I was trying to work out a trade for him. I ended up picking up Lindsey at 7-11. And it worked out. I thought it would have worked out because the guy who took Rojo had Melvin Gordon conveniently. So I figured I could swap them and maybe something else involved with it. But that both gives us the security of having the handcuff of the other running back for that specific team. But the guy would not. He basically just said Lindsey's a backup and Rojo's a starter. He wouldn't trade.
Yeah, he's probably wrong about one of those things, but I don't know.
I think Lindsey's shown to be better so far through 2 years.
I mean,
I was surprised he wasn't willing to do it.
Yeah, Lindsey I keep saying this all the time. Everybody yells at me on Twitter, but Lindsey actually won touches. And you look at Rojo, he was better than Peyton Barber last year, but for 2 years, he couldn't really completely beat out for touches. Even if he was better, they still had like very similar touches. So if they are bringing in, I mean, I'm not trying to debate this whole thing because it's like so 50-50, but yeah, come out and say like, yeah, Rojo is the starter. I don't know.
That's what I was telling Jim. I'm like, dude, Philip Lindsay has like established his floor. Like he has like earned his like role on the team. Rojo, I wouldn't say he has a guaranteed role. Like I know that they did dissuade from Devonta Freeman because it was too much money, but just the fact that they were looking for a guy, because I mean, when you take a team like look at the Buccaneers, it's clearly a team that's trying to win the Super Bowl this year. And I don't know if I would feel comfortable like being Bruce Arians having Ronald Jones as my running back to win a Super Bowl. He might want a guy that's probably looking for a vet like Devonta Freeman that's been in the Super Bowl. I mean, it didn't work out, but still.
Yeah.
Another team. I mean, a couple of people in the league have talked about maybe the Bucs are interested in Mostert, but who knows?
Should be a thing. I mean, why not if they're making some of the moves that they have so far? You're bringing in Tom Brady, you're bringing in Gronk. I mean, I think
a whole new offense, basically.
Yeah. All right, what about Le'Veon Bell at 5-2? You guys okay with that pick for value or?
Yeah, I think that's probably about where he would fall.
5-2. Let me see here. Yeah,
I mean, he went before Singletary. I think that's probably the right call. After Carson, maybe he gets picked up before Carson, depending on who you like more.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt up there. Maybe I'd take Le'Veon Bell over Kareem Hunt. I mean, Kareem Hunt's a safe pick. He's younger, but who knows what he's going to be doing if he's staying in Cleveland long term or if he's going to move to another team. I don't know if a lot of teams are still willing to pick him up after all the controversial stuff that happened.
Right. Something I want to get into is down here at 10-8 and 11-7 is the Kerryon Johnson Marlon Mack. So they're kind of like in the same tier. Both teams drafted a rookie. Which one would you guys rather have?
I'll chime in real quick and say that I'd probably take Marlon Mack. And the reason I take Marlon Mack is because I think I know he's had a great offensive line, but I think he showed he's not like phenomenal or great at anything, but he's like good at pretty much everything. So he's not like nothing stands out about him, but he does his job really well. And with Kerryon, like you can say what you want about how he was in college and, he's had all these injuries and now he's healthy, but with a guy who is just continuously banged up, probably since I thought I wrote an article about it since like high school. And
Yeah, he has been.
you look at the games he's had where he did get the load and he just really didn't like do much. I'm just not a carry-on fan, and like me and my brother from P2W, we have a couple beers and argue about this probably once every 2 weeks. But yeah, I'm just not a carry-on fan. Marlon Mack to me is also not like super appealing, but you know what? If he ends up somewhere else and he gets the touches, maybe in the red zone or something, I'm more on his train just because he's been more healthy, even though he's had some bang-ups in the past.
Yeah, I think Carry-On definitely regressed a lot from year 1 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And he got injured both years, obviously. He missed a big chunk of games. But the yards per carry is what really suffered for him. I mean, he basically had the same attempts, 118 and 113, but his yards per carry was 5.43 as a rookie. And that's what I was super excited before he got hurt. And then in the 8 games he played last year, averaging 3.5.
Yeah.
That's a significant drop off. And with Marlon Mack, I think everyone's more high on Jonathan Taylor to be this elite running back. But I think Marlon Mack will be harder to pass by.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Mack will have a little bit more value than Carry-On at this point. They're both still roughly the same age, 24 and 23. So I think you'd have to take Mack at this point over Carry-On.
So when I drafted tight end, I got in at 9-11 here with Hooper, and I thought that he fell way too hard. Do you guys think that, like, I mean, especially with the Njoku news, I think that his stock has risen a lot, and I feel like I don't know if Darren Waller should go before Austin Hooper, especially with the contract he got.
I think Waller still goes above Hooper.
Really?
The thing is, yeah, I think a lot of people and John Gruden just love giving Waller plenty of touches.
But what about Hayden Hurst over Hooper? You agree with that also, and Evan Ingram?
I think you take Hooper over Hurst mainly because Hurst hasn't actually shown that he is that good yet because he's been behind people. Now, could he be? Sure, but Hooper has proven it already. Now, the thing is with Njoku too, with Hooper, I don't think Njoku was really going to affect Austin Hooper. They paid him a great chunk of money with $42 million. So he's going to be involved. Now, the thing is with Cleveland is they have so many options. So is it going to be possible that they can have all these guys be really relevant fantasy players? Sure. Will he be a top 5 guy again? It's possible. There's just a lot of questions in Cleveland that are going to have to be answered. Is Baker going to step up and play better? There's so many questions.
Yeah. And I'm not huge on the Hayden Hurst train because of what you just said. Just we haven't really seen much. And then guys like talk about his college profile, and then they talk about like, yeah, look at his numbers though, like his next gen stats, yards per catch and things like that. But if the guy's not earning time on another team, I mean, say what you want about Mark Andrews and the Ravens. I mean, if he was a stud, they're going to find a way for him to play. I think people assume he's going to get those Austin Hooper targets, and I'm not sold on it right now. I think Austin Hooper, I was one that kind of started fading him because of the Cleveland Browns trade. But you look at the team he was on. He had Julio Jones, right, and he's got Calvin Ridley, and then Sanu was there at a time. He had other guys to compete with targets for. So even though he's with OBJ and Landry, I think the volume might go down for him as far as targets. But on a good offense, maybe he's a big red zone guy. I'm not completely fading Hooper, but I'd take Hooper over Hurst in a dynasty just because we've seen Hooper ball out. And yeah, I mean, Evan Ingram goes before him, who's when he's healthy, he's a stud. So that's, I can understand that. But yeah, I'm not going to completely fade out Hooper because of the move to the Browns. But the main difference there, I think, is just the target volume that might change for him. But I guess we'll see.
All right,
Hooper's actually a year younger, too. Did not know that. I thought Hurst was the younger guy.
Hurst was kind of old, not old, but like he was one of the oldest guys in his draft class.
Yeah.
which I read about a little bit, but yeah.
Let's bounce back up here to 5'10". Deshaun Watson. Like, I can't tell where this team is going. Let's just talk about Deshaun Watson and Brandon Cooks real quick.
I don't know what Bill O'Brien has in mind.
Do you think Watson should go at 5'10"? Is he gonna?
slash.
Do you think that Watson could fall out of QB1 status this year? Do you think that's like possible?
I don't know if falling out of QB1 as a whole. I mean, he could regress, but
I think D-Hop makes a big difference.
Oh, he sure does. But I mean, they still have serviceable, like
they have
all around
4
solid
receivers
wide
that all are injury prone. What happens? Like, are we going to see the repeat of the Eagles last year on the Texans?
You hope not.
But that'd be tough. I mean, Watson's always going to offer, his legs for fantasy. He's gonna run the ball a bit. I think he's very talented still. I'm not selling Watson. I'm not fading him at all. I think you kind of look at who were the next QBs, and they went a whole nother, 2 rounds or whatever almost. But it'll be interesting. I mean, Brandon Cooks, people forget, used to be consistently, in the top 15 wide receivers each year. I know he's got the concussion thing, and everyone's like, one more hit and this guy's done. Well, one more hit and half the league could be done. I think that's a weird thing to say sometimes, but Will Fuller was banged up, but we've seen Will Fuller win you, weeks when he was healthy. So I think it's just, it all comes down to the health of the Texans. If Cooks and Fuller can last a season or even a majority of a season, I think Watson's going to be a very good QB still. Could he fall out of the top 10? If not, absolutely, because of that. But yeah, outside of them two, Cobb's older.
They have some decent depth though. Like that's 5 like serviceable wide receivers realistically if they're on the field with Kenny Stills and Kiki Kuti also.
But would you rather have all of those or DeAndre Hopkins?
Don't give me that shit.
I'm just saying.
Obviously, I'd take DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm going to answer you that question.
Okay, so here's a good one for you guys. So Marquise Brown went at 7-3, and then Preston Williams went at 9-2. Which one would you rather have?
I don't know if that's a great comparison necessarily. I don't know.
Well, I rather have Preston Williams. So if you want to argue Hollywood,
I would say maybe you could a more like debatable one would be him and Marquise and Deontay Johnson.
See, I'm not even high on Deontay Johnson though.
He's opened another can of worms right there. You guys or what's the reason not to like Marquise?
I mean, there isn't a reason not to like him besides I guess there is.
Besides the fact that they run their average rushes this year was 36 attempts. That's the only problem I have. I think that if this team starts to utilize him in a way more that he has more volume and he stays healthy, I think that he's great. But I don't think he's ever going to be a wide receiver 1 his whole career. I don't think he'll ever be in that category of a 1. He definitely doesn't have the size. He's not Tyreek Hill fast.
Whoa. He's pretty fast.
He's not Tyreek Hill.
But
he's pretty fast. He's fast enough.
He got that screw out of his foot or whatever, too. I don't know if that was held him back. But, I mean, the one thing I always try to factor in, too, is, like, you see these guys off the field and their connections. And, like, the minute Hollywood got drafted, Lamar's on camera holding his chain saying, I got my chain on, too, Hollywood. And then, like, you go to – I don't even – I got kicked off Instagram, I think. But I seen an Instagram – video, and it's Lamar Jackson and Marquise chilling here. They're running routes, they're throwing. So you look at Marquise in college, I'm not going to look up his numbers, but I did a comparison to his class versus, this incoming class, and he had great numbers in college. He was a stud. I think if he is healthy and not banged up and not having screws in his feet, and Lamar continues to have that off-field connection on the field like we seen week 1 in Miami when he went crazy with Marquise, then I think he's got good value. I'm a big Preston Williams fan too, but we hope that he's 100% back to Preston Williams after an ACL tear, for one. For two, things are going to change for the Dolphins a little bit. I'd probably rather buy Preston over pay the price for Parker, in my opinion. But
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I like Marquise in this, and just because of the connection, I guess. But nobody else probably on the Ravens wide receiving core.
Yeah. So I did a poll the other day for our Dynasty Dweebs Twitter, and it was, I mean, I didn't specify if it was 2 QB or 1. I get that. But it was Patrick Mahomes versus Miles Sanders. And who would you guys rather have in your if you just could pick to put one on your Dynasty team? You have no one on there. This is your first pick. Would you rather have Miles Sanders or Patrick Mahomes?
I'd take Mahomes just because my bias towards Sanders, but
one QB. We'll say it's one quarterback league, Dynasty, Mahomes or Sanders.
I'll take Mahomes because you don't hear all this Twitter talk all the time about veterans being signed to interfere with his touches on the ball, even though he's a quarterback. I think Mahomes. I'm a big Jackson fan. Mahomes and Jackson are the only two guys, in my opinion, you can even think about taking that high in a draft. And if it's a dynasty, you're going to have the Chiefs contract version only on your dynasty team. You get them for 10 years.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. That's got to be nice. Just, you have a Patrick Mahomes for the next 10 years. Like, granted, nothing happens, but like,
yeah,
that's got to be a good feeling.
That far.
I mean, when you have Miles Sanders, you probably, like you said, Nick, you have that headache of just like, dude, I'd have like anxiety right now just if I'm in a huge dynasty league with like a big buy-in, like thinking, shit, man, is Raheem Mostert going to end up on the Eagles?
I don't know. I think Miles will get a majority of the touches, but I mean, I'm not trying to jump down your draft board here, but seeing Boston Scott, that's an interesting DP.
Dude, yeah, where is he on here?
Yeah.
Right. 14-5.
14-5.
That's a good value pick right there because, I mean, you saw the end of the season. He got some touches and he found the end zone. So if you're an Eagles running back that's going to supplement Miles Sanders, that's –
Dude, never bring up Boston Scott to someone that owns Miles Sanders.
I scooped them both up in that league I just drafted in not long ago.
Yeah, that's definitely a good play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna start both of them, but
yeah, but you need both, I think.
Look at the game script. Maybe it's a team that they're gonna run all over, so they give Boston some more touches or something. I don't know.
Dude, Matt Breda 7-12. What about that?
That seems pretty.
Jordan Howard didn't go until.
Went in the 9.
9-6.
Yeah, 9-6.
9-6.
I would take Sony Michel and Jordan Howard over Matt Breida.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I like Jordan Howard this year. I think he's getting in the end zone, man.
Why would that happen though? Why would they take? Do they think that he's going to start over Howard?
I don't know.
That guy. I don't know if that was an auto draft.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think it was.
It definitely was not seventh round. No way.
I think he might have auto drafted like his 2 defensive picks back to back. Or actually, I know he just auto drafted his last pick, and it looks like his clock's about to run out in 5 minutes 40 seconds, and he might auto draft a second player in a row. So,
all right, Joe Burrow, 12-5, too high or just right?
1 QB, it's probably still high. Honestly, there's still plenty of good quarterbacks on the board.
For me, it's Daniel Jones over Joe Burrow, but that's just me.
At this point, I might take Jared Goff over him still.
Shut your mouth.
Matt Stafford.
You would never.
I would.
At 12-5?
I don't.
Yeah, Daniel Jones I might take before. Trying to think. So, you guys are. Oh, the draft is live right now. Huh?
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it is live.
Yeah.
It's not over.
I'll probably take Matt Stafford too over Joe Burrow right now.
Dude, people sleep on Matt Stafford. I don't get it.
I just worry about the back injury a little bit, if that has any long-term thing, or if he's like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jim took Tevin Coleman at 15-11. They released the news like 5 minutes during his pick, and I was like, messaged him like 15 messages, said, "Don't take your pick. Raheem Mostert's going to get traded. Tevin Coleman's still on the board."
Nice.
I just took him instantly. I mean, it's not even necessarily a bad pick because there really isn't like the running back depth right now left on the board. Is the top ranked guy is Justice Hill. I don't think he's probably the best available when, I mean, there's Royce Freeman, which, I mean, I don't even know what you do with him anymore.
I know. Like,
He's gotten thrown to the wayside.
Dude, we got
I mean, there's LaMichael Perrine's on there.
11 more rounds, dude. I don't even know what I'm doing with my team now.
It's a lot to.
There are a lot of
picks though.
A lot of decent receivers left, or what?
There's some okay rookies. KJ Hamler's there, James Washington, Andy Isabella, Miles Boykin. I'm just kind of naming guys. Hunter Renfrow, Van Jefferson.
Van Jefferson's interesting.
Corey Davis is up there.
Interesting.
Is Golden Tate still on the board?
He is.
Are you not mentioning that? Because
I'm probably gonna take Hamler, honestly. Let's see a live.
I'm just gonna
pick.
say.
Or I could take Isabella.
Darrell Henderson at 12-2. Are you guys more Darrell Henderson people or Akers?
I think getting Henderson that late's a really nice pick for me. I don't think he's necessarily out of the equation yet. He had a pretty poor
they also
rookie
have
campaign, to say the least.
Do they still have Malcolm Brown?
I was just gonna ask, like, are we 100% sure that on the pecking order that he's past Malcolm Brown? Did he show that he was when he was last?
I don't know.
I mean,
don't draft Malcolm Brown right now, but
I don't know how they're going to label their depth chart at this point. They both really didn't have much involvement. Malcolm Brown had 69 attempts last year, and Darrell Henderson had 39. So both very limited.
I think Henderson was banged up a little bit, but I still think that they had Malcolm Brown ahead of him on the depth.
I think we're just saying that Mostert should be on the Rams.
I don't think we're saying that.
It'll be interesting.
All right, wait. So Nick, what's your opinion on the Seattle backfield? I have Carson and Penny, and then DJ Dallas went 15-8. Should I have taken DJ Dallas instead of Penny?
Penny was a first-round draft pick when he was
yeah, I know.
NFL. I mean, he's coming off a tough injury, but he's coming off it's ACL, right?
Yeah, and apparently it's a lot other stuff in his knee too, not just the ACL.
He's going to be on a
PUP
list for a little. He might miss a majority of this next season.
I can't see,
if not the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Carson, I think, is another guy people don't give enough credit to because he's always in like the top 5 to 7 like attempts and yards and things like that. His touchdowns probably need to be better, but Penny again, first round draft pick. If he's healthy, I mean, Dalvin Cook came back great from an ACL injury. I mean, if Penny is healthy, I'm not saying he's going to steal the job, but I don't know if DJ Dallas is going to hop over both of those guys anytime soon. So I probably wouldn't have taken DJ Dallas over Penny.
There was rumors.
They signed Carlos Hyde for a backup for this year, but I mean, that's not really.
Yeah, there was rumors that Penny was going to get traded, and there was an offer in April. Like, it was just revealed that the Lions sent an offer over for
Can you actually trade?
For a third round pick.
You can't trade players when they're.
You can't trade when they're on PUP?
I don't know if that's a rule or not.
Okay, so basically what I learned is if they cut Rashad Penny, they lose like $500,000. So keeping him on the team saves them money. So he's definitely not getting cut, but he might get traded.
Interesting.
$500,000 isn't that much.
It's a tough sell, though. Tough sell. Like, hey, we drafted this guy back in the day, first round, but like he's never really won the job here, and now he's like coming off a big injury. So it's probably a hard sell.
Yeah, I don't even know where he would go at this point. There's not much like around the league.
And even with I love Chris Carson, but he is also coming off an injury. He had that hip injury at the very end of the season.
Don't try to tell me that I have 2 running backs that aren't going to do anything this whole entire season.
Yep, auto draft just happened.
Khalil
Like
Mack.
I said,
Dude,
yeah.
look at it. He has
He just drafted 4
he has
defensive players in
Leighton
a row.
Vander Esch, Corey Littleton, J.J. Watt, and Khalil Mack.
You can start
It's 2 defensive
You
players.
could always start 2.
trying to get some trade value somewhere.
Yeah, I might give him something for Vander Esch. That's about it.
Well, that's
all right.
interesting. Oh,
see some more value. Darius Geis, 6'4". Fan or not a fan?
It's just, he hasn't been on the field.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be willing to pay 6'4".
I mean,
dude, look at that line though. James Conner, Geis, and then Mostert.
I'll take Ingram at 4 because I don't think Ingram's gonna only play 1 more year. I'll take James.
I just don't know where Ingram's going to be next year. That's the problem. I don't think Baltimore is going to be re-signing him, but I mean, it's always possible they could. Yeah. It just doesn't seem likely.
It's interesting. I'm not taking. I might gamble on I might gamble on like a Vaughn or something in a dynasty too over Geis, just because. I mean, you know just as much about Geis as you do about Vaughn. We've seen Geis like play like this much. I think he like balled out against the Packers 1 week or something, but I don't know. I want him to be good. I mean, just as much as the next guy, but we don't know.
Jim, you're on the clock.
I am.
So who are you taking?
Who am I going to take?
Perfect timing right there in the video. Who are you going to take?
Oh, man.
Let's see who's on the board.
I think I might
Why do they put Luke Kuechly there if he's not?
Yeah, man, who knows? I could take a second defender just to get it, or I could just kind of.
Did you get your tight end yet?
I do. I have
Tyler
Higbee.
Yeah. Yep.
So did you get your tight end yet?
Go fuck yourself.
Who got Gesicki? Anybody?
Someone took Gesicki.
I like him for 20.
Me too. 10-10. That's good value, I think, for Gesicki. Maybe a little early, but
he might be the 2020 Waller.
I think he could be.
See,
Jim, I still like Golden Tate. Like I said, he's on a 4-year contract. I think that he's one of those guys. Like I was saying, you need people that on your team are going to put up points. I think that he's a PPR safe. He has a safe PPR floor. But I don't know what your team needs.
I mean, receivers, I'm kind of just stacking all over the board with a bunch of younger guys lately, too.
Well, we know there's no running backs available. The next best running back.
There's plenty of running backs.
Justice Hill, Naheem Hines, Latavius Murray. I mean, Frank Gore.
Hey, Frank Gore in a dynasty league.
There's no way you're taking your running back right now.
I could take Jerick McKinnon.
Honestly, I was thinking about it, and the best value is like in the quarterback sometimes.
I don't feel like I need to take a second quarterback yet. I mean, I could go for like the Jared Goff pick, like I was saying, but
you could probably wait.
I think I might just end up going up with KJ Hamler, even though I do have Cortland Sutton. I mean, one of these guys is going to pan out, or it's just going to be Judy, and then I just get.
I have Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders.
But I'm also looking at James Washington and Andy Isabella. I don't think it's necessarily everyone's so high on Deontay Johnson.
What is it about Andy Isabella that you like?
That Fitzgerald's going to be gone soon.
But they have Kirk and Hopkins.
I don't know. It's just a young guy who could. I mean, him and Kirk are the same age, so yeah.
You and them young.
I'm always in for the young ones. I got to get them young.
Dude, but like I'm saying, like I think Kirk's the guy for the number 2 role. I think that's certain.
I'm kind of pretty solid overall.
I'm pretty solid. Dude.
I'm pretty solid overall on receiver with right now. My receiving core is DeAndre Hopkins, Cortland Sutton, Jarvis Landry. On my bench, I have Michael Pittman, Jamison Crowder, and Chase Claypool.
Yeah, I like that. Pittman might be the best. He might be wide receiver 1 in 2020. I mean, I'm not going to say, but who knows?
That brings up something that I actually do want to talk about. So I had pick 8-2, and I picked Pittman over Henry Ruggs, who went at 8-4, who was still available. or even Brandon Cooks later on, and Deontay Johnson. And
Yeah, but I don't hate that though.
I don't either.
Henry Ruggs already got hurt, right?
It was just a thing while he was moving. Yeah.
I like Pittman a lot. Pittman could easily be their number 2 guy day one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and especially if T.Y. Hilton gets hurt, he ends up being the 1. So you never know.
I'm not on the Ruggs train. I'm not on it.
I feel like that late though for Ruggs, considering where some of these other guys are going, it's not a bad value pick.
Well, we were talking about this earlier, Jim, about the Ruggs and being on the Raiders. Like the problem with the Raiders is there's so many serviceable players.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just too much. Like Hunter Renfrow is serviceable. Tyra Williams is serviceable.
They
Darren
got
Waller,
Nelson Aguilar. That guy catches balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Zay Jones.
He's so good. Yeah, Zay Jones is probably gonna get cut.
Brian Edwards might steal the target.
Yeah, that's another rookie. Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's see, where else can we go here? John Brown, 12-8. I got sniped here. Lucas sniped me at 12-8. I was going to take John Brown to stack with Josh Allen. What do you guys think about John Brown? You fading him because of Diggs?
I mean, he's going to be a solid player. He's not going to be as good with Diggs there. But then I saw Stephon Diggs on Twitter was saying something about how he basically was saying he wasn't sure if the NFL should really play this year or something like that. So, Matt, all
right, we can't talk about that stuff because that's going to take like an hour to talk about itself.
I get it.
They're already saying.
But let's say like
too much,
in some world, they just don't end up. Some players sit out and like.
Well, then none of this matters.
Well, I'm just spitballing shit. Come on, I'm drafting Hamler.
I mean, John Brown was almost a top 20 wide receiver last year. Obviously, they get Diggs, but does Diggs? It's like a coin flip. Does Diggs hurt his stock, or does it just open up the field for him? I don't know.
John Brown's the one, man. He's still the one on the team. Stephon Diggs is not an alpha. I guarantee that.
Might be Cole Beasley. I don't know.
Ooh.
Hey, he's a.
Be easy breezy.
Do you know he's a rapper?
He looks like it. He looks like he's straight out of 8 Mile.
No, he actually raps.
I don't doubt it.
Well, wait. So you already brought it up. So do both of you think we're gonna have the season?
I don't want to project because it's like 2 months. Oh, it's over 2 months away still, but a lot can happen in the world here.
Also, think about I think they're at a slight advantage, the NFL, because if baseball does come back and the NBA does come back, they can kind of see where they fucked up with some stuff and be
possible, yeah.
Yeah, like the MLB tried doing this and then it went the wrong way, and the NBA did this bubble thing and the guys got all, I don't know, pissed off, and I don't know. I think there's a great chance for the season, but I think it's going to be the most important year ever to have good depth in your leagues.
Dude, I know. Like they're already talking about, they said they want to cut 35% of contracts to deal with all the issues. And now players are saying, well, if you're going to cut 35% of my contract, I'm going to sit out. But dude,
and then lose it all.
Listen here, man. Not everyone's going to sit out. The first year players are going to want to play. All right, they're not going to waste their youth. They're going to play. So if you want to sit out, go ahead and sit out.
There's no idea. I have no possible idea what the NFL could be thinking of doing.
Quick question. So what does the Eagles depth chart look right now? And is Deshaun Jackson still on the team, or has he been kicked off of the team? So you're
referring to receiver. Who knows what they're doing with them?
I don't want to voice too much on this because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but
I mean, if you want to say that he said stuff and he's not getting backlash, and Drew Brees said stuff and he got backlash, it's completely true. I mean, but
I didn't say that. But if you want to go that route, then I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. But if you want to go that route,
we're just in a crazy world right now. I mean, that's probably the most we should say. It's all crazy. But like, just like the depth chart for the Eagles, we can talk with Jalen Reagor. Like, who to you guys like is like where's your pecking order with this team? I mean, Alshon, they haven't even said anything. They don't say anything about Alshon. They don't say what they're doing with Djax, with his statement. I mean, they apologize, whatever. I don't know if it's going to get him kicked off the team.
The last thing that's reported is that he could be released. So, I mean, didn't they keep Riley Cooper on the team with his incident?
Don't stop talking.
I'm just saying the Eagles are not exactly great with dealing with these contracts.
That was like
what does that have to do with anything? Don't give me that shit.
Go.
Did you see that, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, back then.
No, but I didn't see it back then. But did you see it? Did you see it now?
No, no.
All right, well then I can't talk about it now, so we'll talk about it after the video.
Oh gosh.
But they got to keep the same energy for all these guys. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Sharp to say anything, but he didn't say one thing.
It's not just you. I mean, everyone's saying the same thing. I mean, even Matthew Berry came out and said something. He said it's true that we all need to be held responsible for whatever we said. Like, no matter who you are, you should be responsible for.
Exactly. If I mean, I don't care what race somebody is. If somebody comes out and says something stupid and it has to do with some very touchy subjects, I don't care what race you are. You have to be held to the highest standard. Did Drew Brees say some dumb stuff at the worst possible time? Yeah. And you know what? He released a statement. Every ESPN reporter came after him and said, you know, that he needs to do something about this. You know, like I said, Shannon Sharp was on every news station possible saying stuff. So regardless if it's what race you are, if somebody says something stupid, you gotta call them out. You gotta hold people accountable. But as far as going off on a tangent there, as far as the depth chart, Doug Peterson said recently that he expects Alshon to be part of the team at some point this year.
Oh my God.
But that's like the most milky thing you can possibly say is like,
dude, I hate the Eagles.
One day.
I gotta look up this injury. I don't even know what I can't even remember. It's a
you guys watch
Frank injury.
Do you watch EDP?
I do watch EDP 445.
445. He literally said today, I don't give a shit if there's an NFL statement. I'm tired of watching the Eagles, and my blood pressure is way too high from this shit.
Oh, you know, he's a little extravagant.
He's a chunky boy. Okay, my pecking order for the Eagles. Shit, I don't remember the whole depth chart. I know they have Greg Ward, something Whiteside, right?
Yeah,
JJR Whiteside.
I don't know how to pronounce
Alshon,
it. Everyone just calls him JJAW.
Deshaun Jackson and Jalen Reagor. That's 5 players, and then that's 5 receivers, and then they have Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. I don't understand how this team's going to function for fantasy. It makes no sense at all.
Might want to grab some of the rookies they drafted. They drafted John Hightower and Quez Watkins, who I don't know much about. I think Hightower was like a track star, but other than that, yeah, you're like looking at all these guys that never should even be on your roster, probably.
That's what I'm saying. But like one of these guys one of the receivers should emerge, but the biggest problem is literally Ertz and Goddard are going to eat up so much of the volume.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold.
I've seen a lot of talk on Reddit, on the fantasy football Reddit subreddit, about JJ. And I mean, what has he shown? He had 10 receptions last year. All right. I think it's just a Philly thing to kind of hype people up.
We're coming close to an hour here. We're going to wrap it up. Let's do one more little view at this chart. How do you guys feel about Brandon Cooks this year at 8-7? I think that's really good value for him.
I mean, if he plays a whole season, he can be
okay. Maybe we'll talk about
really
someone.
elite.
Let me pull someone that's not injury prone. All right, Devontae Parker at 6'9".
Yeah.
Are you guys fading him because the schedule was so easy last year and he was the only guy on the field that could catch a football? That's why his stats were so good?
I also just think when Preston Williams got hurt is when he ended up emerging, which is really weird because that kind of should technically make it more difficult. But he kind of became a lot better as the season went on and after Preston got hurt. So will he come back down to earth with Preston Williams being back? Who really knows? I don't think he finishes as high as he did.
Make up your mind, Jim.
I don't know what they're going to do at
wide
quarterback
receiver
still.
2, is he a high wide receiver 2 or a low-end wide receiver 2 or neither of those things? Make your decision. Final thoughts.
Low end.
What do you think, Nick?
I just have a problem with a guy who took this long in his career to break out, and I'm sick of people blaming like Adam Gase and shit like that. Like he took forever. He's like, how old is he? 27 or 28 or something like that.
He's 27.
Yeah. He took how many seasons to like be good? So I mean, if he's great next year, that's fine. I just don't want to pay for a guy that's like taking it so long to be good in the NFL. So
yeah, that was the one thing I remember. Austin and I were talking about him last year. Was the touchdown anomaly he had with 9, and then he had 9 in the last 4 years also.
Yeah, I mean,
so will he end up having those kind of numbers again, or is he gonna go back under 1,000 yards?
Yeah.
Who knows?
We'll find out. I have him as a kind of mid-tier to low-tier wide receiver 2. Thank you, Nick, from P2W Fantasy for joining us. Always a pleasure. Sure we'll have you on again pretty soon. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Peace.